Welcome to Healing the Spirit, a space where we awaken our creativity, deepen our connections, and remember who we are through the lens of astrology, archetypes, and art making. I'm your host, Jonathan Coe. Wonderful. We're recording.
Hi,
Hello, my
friend.
friend. I love your shirt today. It's really giving
Thank
me
you.
life. Yeah. I
It's
feel
like a
like
jacket, but I'm wearing it as a sweater. It's like a multicolored, like patchwork.
it's
It's
so
giving
cute.
like school teacher. And I was
Yes.
like, yes, this is the energy.
I'm so into it. Yeah. I also love your background. I feel like this is always this is always the vibe with you. You're a space goddess. You're a space goddess. I feel like wherever you are, given a little bit of time, you always make it so beautiful and cozy and vibey. Yeah.
Just sprinkling magic everywhere. I do optimize for comfort.
Mm.
And I think being in New York has made that even more paramount. Like last May, I think I've already told you this before, when I was here and got the like flashbang from the universe. You're moving to New York City. And I said, oh my God, right? You want me to do what? My poor nervous system. You want me to go where? I was in a beautiful cosmic yin sound bath
Mm.
in Clinton Hill, led by a woman named Nami at a yoga studio called Prima Yoga.
Love Prima
And
Yoga, by the way.
oh, the space, talk
It's
about another
so,
space that like
yeah.
is transcendent. And you're like, I become cosmic.
Yes.
It is me, Starshine.
Yes.
Good morning. What's happening? Um, but I remember I was sitting there meditating, and it was like I have to feel like my space is literally the most sensual space ever. And I feel
Yeah.
like when I was choosing the sublet I was going to be in, I was like, it has to feel like a place that I would like my favorite self would live. Like this feel
Mm.
has to feel like my apartment
Yeah.
because if it's gross and I don't like it, I'm gonna be unwell, and
Yeah.
then it's not gonna work out very well.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you. I do love to decorate. I just start to like, I feel like, I don't know, did you grow up like putting stuff up on your walls as a kid?
You know, wow. I can't believe I'm about to make this confession to you. My, well, how much do I want to say? Because I'm like, this is dangerous, actually. I never really had my own room growing up. I never really had my own room. At some point, my parents like put that designated like a separate space for me and my sister, but we never successfully had our own bedrooms growing up, which tells you a lot maybe about my family's attachment style. And then now, you know me because you and I are actually friends. You
We're
know,
actually best
we're
friends.
actually
Yes,
best
we're
friends.
actually best friends. Yes.
But but you do know like my avoidant tendencies. It's not
Also,
even I don't even know if it's avoidant tendencies, but let me just put it this way. I highly value and recommend space in relationships because I do feel like there are things that I'm like sometimes if the vibe is not vibing, like space is the better option. Like, would you rather me not respond or would you rather me respond in rage? Right?
I would rather you not respond. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially this week, now that we have 7 planets in Aries, and
Yeah,
I can feel it on my
right,
body. I feel
right.
like there's a literal live wire right now like the apartment's hot. New York City is getting warm. I'm like, I don't know if you can feel it, Jonathan, but I literally feel like there's like like someone has plugged something into like a wall socket. I'm like
I feel it. I
in
feel
my
it.
body. But I don't respond well to anger
Yeah.
or
Me neither.
rage.
Me
I
neither.
don't think anyone does, but like
Mm-hmm.
I try very hard to always lead with compassion and grace and like a deep sense of I think about compassion as like empathy with boundaries. So it's like, this is me, this is you. I hold space for what you're going through, but I'm not like enmeshed in feeling it,
Yeah.
which like I had to do because again, I'm like the most sensitive little creature of all time, which you might not expect, but I'm just like a little
I see
amorphous
you.
blob. You do see
Yeah.
me, which is
I
a
do
beautiful
see you.
gift. Um, but I don't respond well to rage or anger or aggression. Like
Yeah.
it actually, I like pull away. I go, I don't, that doesn't actually feel safe near me. If you
Yeah.
can't show up in a place where we can hold like sacred rage and sacred fire, which I think is really powerful to be like, systems of injustice need to burn, like an
Mm-hmm.
alchemical burning. I
Yeah.
think that's a different kind of rage than like projected rage or like, um, I read this paper in college in my moral psychology class I was taking about, it's called the CAD hypothesis. It was by like Rosen et al. I don't remember what year it was in, but you could go type it in. You could find it on Google. And they linked, you're going to find this really interesting, the emotion of contempt to violations of community,
Mm.
the emotion
Mm.
of anger to violations of autonomy,
Mm.
and the emotion of disgust to violations of divinity.
Wow.
And so when you're talking about anger, I'm thinking about like personal space. Like I need space to be in my own autonomous being to be able to say like, I need you away
Yeah.
until I can be in a place where I can communicate. And I think it's interesting that you were sharing like not being able to have your own space growing up, which I would say was like I had my own room and it
Yeah.
was like I was very loud about having my own room. Like I would literally blast. My dad got me really nice speakers. I was a big speaker guy, big music guy, and I would like blast Florence and the Machine in high school. And I
Yeah.
like felt like I threw up Tumblr all over my walls. So I had like Taylor Swift like Polaroids from her like 1989 album like on one area, and then
Yeah.
every single like emo thing that I found on Tumblr that like spoke to me and let me feel like seen and like it's like Skinny Love, Bon Iver lyrics that are like, and I had this like
Love.
chalkboard wall too that had magnets on it so I could like paint on the wall. And
Mm-hmm.
then I like literally collaged, which is funny knowing who I am now, but like collaged the entire space. So I was like, this needs to be me. And, I grew up in a very loud household.
Mm.
My sisters have disabilities. I think I've told you this. They were born with a really rare neurological condition.
Yeah.
They're identical twins. It's called subcortical band heterotopia or double cortex syndrome. So there's like an extra layer of white matter in their brain. So it's like the cell bodies and so the like neurons themselves don't connect. So they'll like send a little electrical signal and it'll hit this like wall and it'll bounce and create like epilepsy or seizures in their brains. So they have cognitive developmental delays, but growing up that looked like them having seizures and screaming because they were hallucinating that monsters were chasing them or having meltdowns constantly. And so the amount of like intensity in my
Mm.
environment was constantly like I don't have like I did have my own personal space. We didn't have like locks on the doors and I was like I need to be like in a cocoon for the love of
Yeah.
God. Like my nervous system and it was interesting because I feel like that was also one of the most creative and prolific times in my life where I started
Mm.
writing music and I was started like I would just spend hours in my room just like in like I like it felt like this lifeline to me of like poetry and like drawing mandalas over and over and over which like at the time I didn't understand like the meditative process of just like little details that build to become something bigger or more beautiful or this like need to like literally put on noise canceling headphones with my cat who I still have. I think have you met Willow yet?
No, I have not.
She was there. I like got her when I've had her for 14 years. I got her when I was 14 years old. And so she would like sit in between my legs and I'd be like on Tumblr looking at
Mm,
One Direction pictures, watching edits, like watching. Have you ever watched the show Skins? It's
no,
like
I
oh
have
my God,
not.
it's a UK TV show. Like just like the
Mm,
most emo,
hmm.
like immersive, like music, like skinny love. Like it's just like I was like, I need to express myself in a time where like I actually don't know who I am.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think I know who I am, but there's so much noise.
Mm, yeah,
And my parents used to call me the canary in the coal mine. Like when I started losing my shit, like they knew stuff was like actually hitting, like, like actual shit was going down. They're like, oh, she's like not okay. Like maybe I was like, but maybe we don't need to use me as a smoke detector. Maybe
yeah,
we don't have to use my body and my nervous system as like, oh, maybe I could just be a sensitive creature who just needs to live a different life. So, anyways, long
yeah,
story, long story short, I feel like spaces for me have continued to be like places where if my space can feel like me or feel like
mm,
a reflection of me, I can just exist within it
yeah.
versus feeling like a little alien amoeba
Mm-hmm,
just
mm-hmm.
like gooing across the floor. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I really felt so much of what you're saying. I think what struck me maybe the most, and I felt this point of resonance between my experience and your experience is that uptick in creativity in intense times. Because I do feel like there's something about creativity that has to do with us needing to see ourselves reflected back to us. And I feel like I've always known who I am, but I've not always been in environments where my essence is consistently reflected back to me. And those are the times when I rely on creativity the most because I need to feel it and I need to see it and I need to be able to point to something and say like, oh yeah, I did that. That was me. You know, this took me back to writing my album. The writing of my album happened when I started my stint in corporate America, actually. That was actually, I remember the first couple years, I was like deep in despair because I was like, who the fuck is this person? Like, I don't know who this person is, you know? And so it's, yeah, I think what you're saying is so interesting. And I'm mindful to bridge this into Bingo Habits, your genius framework, because there is something about that um, what I've been calling ecosystemic intelligence that I'm kind of hearing in what you're describing.
Can you define that for me? I just had a
Yeah.
full body reaction to ecostemic
Yeah,
intelligence.
ecosystemic intelligence.
Oh,
Yes. I feel like this is I've been thinking about this concept and working with it for a number of years because something that never resonated for me in the self-help world and especially post-pandemic where suddenly therapy and self-help becomes very mainstream is everybody is so obsessed about this idea of validating yourself, which I think it's valid. Pun intended. I do think it's valid. As a concept, I am into it. But what I see is when people talk about validating themselves, there is this energy underneath it that I am like, what is that energy? It feels strange to me. And I grew up in a very collectivistic setup. And so I kind of come from a frame that's like the exact opposite, right? I would say I kind of grow up in possibly toxic collectivism, where it's like you don't get to be who you are because who you are is a problem to the environment. So then you're always reading the room, right? And then also, I think my own astrology and personal makeup and my human design kind of makes me more susceptible to just following along with the flow. Like it's easy for me to get lost in all of that, right? And to me, ecosystemic intelligence is this balance where we find ourselves through what is possible within our ecosystem. But the reverse is also true. It's kind of like a different way to understand the as above, so below maxim, right? As below,
Mm,
so above. Because I think who we are is always vibrating in our ecosystem and it's impacting the ecosystem, but the ecosystem also limits what we can vibrate and emanate.
mhm,
And some ecosystems just don't allow certain expressions. And I do think this is where individuals need to exercise their agency. Because if
mhm.
you are constantly in ecosystems that doesn't allow that, the question is, why are you staying? You know? Because a healthy ecosystem, Ashley, this is my theory, will meet you where you're at. And it will, in fact, continue to expand the boundaries of what is okay to make space for you, right? This is why, going back to what we were saying earlier about systems of oppression, this is why they become systems of oppression because we're actually hitting the limits of what they're able to allow us to express. And then those limits are showing us places where the collective system doesn't honor individual blossoming and flourishing, which necessarily includes experimentation and sometimes just straight up failure, right? If you don't have the space to try going after your own passion and then fail and not be homeless, that system is not correct, you know?
Yeah, and it's interesting because even when you're saying that, I have this like deep knowing within me that's actually activating in this exact moment that we're talking,
Hmm.
that even if I failed and became homeless, I have the most incredible friends and community
Mm.
who would take me in
Yes.
because I would do that for them. Like,
Yeah.
if any one of my friends had the audacity to choose themselves and to chase their dream and to go after it so wholeheartedly, they bet everything on it and they hit a moment where they were like, I've lost everything, but this still is calling to me because that is the kind of person that I surround myself with. That is my
Mm.
relational ecosystem. I
Mm.
know that I would be like, I have a couch, I have a bed. Come be with me. I take care of you because you take care of me. And
Yeah.
it becomes this like incredibly nourishing space. But to your point with the alchemical principle of like as above, so below, it's the same with like as within, so without. And I was raised in the Bay Area in California, in this heart of the Silicon Valley, one of the most individualistic, capitalistic places that you could probably grow up. And I was still, and I continue to feel this way, that I do not conform because my soul is meant to be creative and
Mm.
sensitive. And I am a fallible, flawed human, deeply so. Have a lot of inner gremlins. I have a lot of intrusive thoughts. I have a lot of like strong opinions about things. I love being right so much that I love being wrong, right? I'm
Mm.
like, tell me I'm wrong.
Hmm.
And I continue to be surrounded by people and was growing up where it was like your intensity, your sensitivity is actually harming the family unit. Like if you're screaming constantly, like this is impairing what's going on. Like you have to either silence yourself or be rejected
Mm.
from the group. And so much of my life has been this journey of realizing that the more I take care of myself, the more I love myself, the more I like really worship at the altar of my own inner divinity within, the more that I actually externally find other people who also see me
Yeah. Yeah.
and care for me and
Yeah.
also feel just as resonant to me, where I can be held in those relationships and they mirror back. So I get expanded by the relationships. I expand internally. I expand internally. I get expanded by the relationship. It's not, I think so often there's this belief that first you have to heal yourself and then you find your people.
Mm.
And while it does, I do believe it has to like, you have to choose to want to live your life. And then you have to choose what kind of life makes your life worth living. Like what world, what dream, what reality is worth the effort that goes into brushing your teeth every day
Yeah.
and making sure you drink enough water and like
Yeah.
eating 3 meals, which like maybe doesn't sound that hard, but it like taking care of myself has been one of the hardest things in my entire life to do
Yeah. Yeah.
on like the basic too simple like little things. But the more that I did that, the more I felt like I could see myself because I actually had a nervous system and a lived like evidence every day of like doing the things that I know make me feel like my favorite version of myself.
Mm.
The one who has already achieved all my dreams, the one who feels secure in relationships, the one who feels creatively prolific, the one who feels like she can walk outside and smile and dance down the walkway and no one really cares because they're like, wow, isn't she just so joyful? And I'm like, yeah, look at me. I have joy. And then I actually started to see that evidence build externally.
Mm. Yeah.
And if you bring the neuroscience into it, it's literally like rewiring neural pathways to like see new information
Right. Right. And the
and
more
believe
you
it.
see it, yeah, the more you see it, the more you allow it in. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I really continue to sit with this tenet that came from the Kim Kranz archetype deck. And
Mm.
I love Kim Kranz's decks.
Me too.
Mm, mm. Talk about like a work of actual potent art. Like there's a sexual tension between me and her decks, an erotic charge there, and I love them, especially the archetypes deck. And her Anima Mundi card has been one of my greatest teachers
Mm.
and introduced me to the concept of accept all, reject none.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And I think it's interesting to think about that under the tenet of magnetism, which is to be magnetic is to be repellent, and that you can be repellent towards something but doesn't mean rejection. It just means this is
Mm.
not for me. Like this is just not aligned with me. This
Mm.
the proximity to my ecosystem, right? If you think about like a literal web, like there's different distances you can have between something that the proximity here, like this is where the safe distance exists at this specific time. Because also to your point, like you might need to just feel your rage and anger, and then you can be like, oh, I just needed some spaciousness, and now I can handle closeness. Like these things are like again, amorphous amoebas that we're existing within. But the idea of rejection as saying not for me,
Mm.
repellence as saying not for me. But if I'm not completely rejecting myself or rejecting you, I'm creating actually a gap and opening either within my internal relationship with myself, within my daily practice and habits, like how am I showing up within my relational dynamics of saying, hey, there's a gap of potent capacity for transformation,
Mm. Mhm.
which I
Mhm.
think needs to exist within everything, that there is always a principle of uncertainty and unknown because we're always expanding and transforming and growing, which
Yeah.
means there always has to be something that can't quite it's not quite, and you're like, why won't it? And then you're like, if we were literally looking at the atoms of our fingers, even though I know that I'm touching, my literal finger atoms will never touch because there's inherent repellence from the like electrons and the protons happening, like the literal atoms, and we're almost touching, but I want to merge, but I can't. But that
Yeah.
tension to go back to creative potential, as you were talking about, and like the intensity is like that desire to make sense of the gap between what we don't understand and what we do.
Yeah. 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 I used to be so allergic to that gap. Actually, I hated it so much. And this is a Piscean thing probably. Um, but over time, what I found is sometimes your role in the ecosystem is to help people transform. And that transformation is messy. It's so
Mm.
messy because when people are repellent or when people are feeling that sense of like being repelled by you, it's because there is some part of them that they haven't fully integrated, right? Because everybody who's been where you are will always be supportive of you because they know how challenging it is. They will always embrace you and encourage you. And everybody who is walking a completely different path than you won't even see you. Like you will just literally like fly over their radar, right? So why is it that these people are being repelled by us? It's because on some level, they're on a journey of reconciling that within themselves. And it's so hard to kind of be that mirror, actually, because mirrors get punched all the time. Mirrors get broken, right? Um, yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, but then there's the reality of like I don't know what else to do.
Right.
All I can do is keep going. And I think to go back to, you alluded to magnetic habits bingo a moment ago, a blip in a moment in a time ago. I don't know what it was, but it was within this conversation, like a literal 368 days ago to the moment we're having this conversation on April 11th of
Mhm.
2025. I had had this idea in a group program I call Metamorphosis. That's a practice of self-alchemy, of self-transmutation to take you from one state to another, to help you become the version of you and reclaim the lost parts of you and abandoned parts of you, to resurrect them, to become more whole, become more of your favorite self so you can attract anything you want in your life and become anything you want to become. That my biggest issue in my life, I was like crashing out about why my business wasn't making enough money, why I was bored, why I was going through a breakup again with another person who I didn't actually really like, but I really
Mm,
enjoyed, but I wanted to see if it could work long enough. And then I was like, this isn't working.
mm,
Spiraling about why it takes me like 2 hours still to write a sales email. That my biggest issue in my life was that I wasn't eating enough food. And so my blood sugar was crashing and I couldn't focus and I was getting agitated because I wasn't meditating or getting enough sleep
yeah.
or like moving my body or going outside. And I would like stay inside all day and like hyper
Yeah.
fixate on my work. Um, and that if I wanted to feel hotter, since I really felt like something got activated in that connection with that person that put me into a really weird state of body dysmorphia where I just felt really gross in my
Mm,
body, which is
mm,
a signal to me that was like not my person because like my person's going to make me feel really good in my body, like not that energy. But I was like, I want to get into running because I think people who run are hot,
mm.
but I hate running so much, which comes from playing soccer growing up and like really hating conditioning. I was like, I don't like the act of like running because I'm just thinking about the fact that I want to die as I'm
Yeah.
running. I like
Yeah.
running for purpose, not running
Mhm.
for purposelessness, which if you're a runner and you love to run, I'm still trying to get into it and let it click, baby. Like at some point, maybe it'll
I'm
work
a
for me.
runner.
I that's so inspiring to me. It's still, I'm like, I don't know, like maybe this year will be the year. It's never fully like clicked, but I share this because like I needed to figure out a way for me who like I need constant creative novelty every day. Like I need the agency to be able to show up and meet myself where I am
Mm,
because every day I feel differently. Every day, what I need to how to take care of myself feels differently. Every not meditating every day doesn't always work. Like sometimes like the meditation, like I don't need a meditation. I need to like scream into a pillow. Sometimes
Yeah.
like I want to
Right.
move my body, but like running isn't actually the best thing for me to do. But like I want to still feel like I'm working towards this goal without forcing myself into like the same like hyper rigid, sometimes it felt very oppressive to me routine that
Hmm.
all of the locked in baddies on the social media and Instagram and TikTok were like, get up at 5 a.m. and then I do a cold plunge and then I drink 3 gallons of celery juice and then I like walk outside and I sun my butthole and then I'm like going to a red light sauna and I'm like, I don't have that much time. B, like I want to be able to sleep until I want to sleep in the morning. I want to be able to wake up and be like, what is actually speaking to me as a part of like what helps me get into like feeling like my favorite version of myself or getting into a place where my nervous system feels good. And so I came up with a little game that I called Magnetic Habit Bingo,
Mm.
where I picked out 9 habits that were too simple and too easy and too relevant to me chasing my dreams and making all of my dreams and grand wishes, like every single thing, like the fame, the recognition, the money, the soulmate relationship that alters my entire existence, the travel, getting to go experience, like the friendships, the new place. Like I was bored out of my mind. I was like, I need something to help me unlock. And I tied this little silly game to figuring out how to chase that dream. And every day is, I change the habits whenever I want to change the habits. So I'm allowed to like swap them out. I can do the habits in whatever order I want to do them in every day.
Hmm.
I don't have to do every single one. I try to go for like a full blackout because I think that it's like fun to see how many I can get because I'm competitive with myself like that. But the
Hmm.
only real goal was just to show up and play.
Hmm. Hmm. And then what happened?
After 45 days, I realized I was moving to New York City. And then I said, okay, well, we're doing it day after day, right? We're continuing to make this simple. I like lost my shit, ever loving goddamn mind. I like was like, what do you mean I'm leaving my entire community in Denver where I feel so safe in my beautiful apartment? You want me to do what? You want me to go to the most overstimulating place in the entire world? The place where like dreams are made, right? Everyone's there chasing a dream, but everyone is hustling. And like, I'm actually trying to break out of culture
Mm.
within myself.
Hmm.
That's an insane move. You want me to, the minute I decided to move to New York City, all of my clients canceled.
Whoa.
So I was like, what? It happens to me. Like,
The
I'll be
rug
like,
is
I think
pulled.
I'm good. The universe goes, and you're done. Like, you decide you're not open for clients. Clients are not booking with you. It happens constantly. Like, they're like, okay,
Wow.
no one. And I did not want to rush it. And so day after day, I just kept showing up and playing bingo. And I made the decision to go do an extended layover with my grandparents in Topeka, Kansas, which is the middle of nowhere in Kansas. Sorry if you live in Topeka, but there's like not really anything going on. And then it became this like drop of sunlight and starlight catalyst every day where everything just started to spark. And I was like, well, what if I like pretend to be Dorothy?
Mm.
And I'm in the tornado. And Willow is my Toto. And I need to buy a pair of red slippers. Ooh, maybe I'll start to test drive New York. Maybe we'll start to create spaciousness. Oh, maybe other people who are also neurodivergent and know they need routine every day and consistency, but also need an inherent sense of novelty will also like this. And I went viral for the first time. And I was like, oh, this feels really wild having 500,000 people look at me. I don't know how to feel about that. As much as I
Mm.
love to be seen, this feels very strange being perceived.
Mm.
But I also really believe in this system because it's like actively transforming and transmuting my life and like, oh, I can do this. People like this. And then I just kept going. Then I went to Japan. I played bingo all the way across the world. I was like, I just have to keep showing up. 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 I like crashed out so many times in the fall. I think Scorpio season and I probably because it's like my eighth and ninth house, like Libra and Scorpio season, I always just like crack, crack, boom, like explode as a little human who's like going internal. It's like I can feel the death of winter impending upon me and my body starts to like shake
Mm.
drastically.
Hmm. Hmm.
But all I needed to do was just keep showing up. There
Mm,
were days where I didn't even get like a single, like every single square on my bingo card. I now play with five. Like you try and get like a literal bingo, like five in a row. And there were days I didn't even get a single bingo, but I was like, that's not the point. The point is that we keep showing up. Tomorrow, I can try again. Tomorrow,
yeah,
I can try again. Tomorrow, I can try again.
yeah.
And then the dream apartment that I wanted, that I said to my friend, we went on a little walk. And I said, Abby, I'm pretty sure that I'm just gonna like show up one day. I'm gonna have the feeling the apartment's gonna arrive. And it's gonna be right there. And I showed up, went on to this place called Listings Project, found the sublet, sent an email within 2 days. The apartment was mine. 2 weeks later, I literally drove to Kansas, 8 hours from Kansas to Denver, packed up my whole life in 3 days from my storage stuff I needed from there. I drove back to Kansas. This is a 2 week period. I packed up everything in Kansas, put it in this giant like GMC black car, drove 22 hours by myself in 2 days to New York City.
Wow.
Played bingo on those 2 days. I was like, got to the hotel room at like 9 o'clock at night. We still got to play bingo. It literally has become like, it's felt like my like lifeline to my soul
Yeah,
and to my
yeah,
dreams.
yeah, yeah. And I witnessed you throughout this entire arc, like
What is,
from afar. I think this is so interesting, Ashley, because it makes me think about your human design actually as like an emotional authority generator. It feels like magnetic bingo habits help you find a center through your emotional wave. Because one of the things that in working with human design and people, in working with humans through the lens of
and their
human
designs.
design, yes, because just to clarify, what I've seen is for emotional authority beings, one of the most challenging things is that up and down, and it feels like, why am I riding the wave so high one day and then completely crashing the next day? And what I've seen with you, because you are so aware of your own process and you're so aware of where your intuition, your spirit is leading you towards, is this magnetic habits bingo kind of became the microcosm of like your commitment to yourself manifest in like daily reality. It became an anchor, a way for you to anchor a certain frequency that is like, this is Ashley. Ashley is someone who like brushes her teeth every day. Which it sounds mundane, but to me, this is so important. It's like, as you were speaking, it made me think about, I fell into, because quite literally, this just happened out of nowhere, Ashley. I fell into reading A Course in Miracles, doing the exercises in the back, and then reading the chapter, like one a day, one chapter a day, or I guess one section a day and one exercise a day. And I have always had these very consistent practices, like in my life. It used to be energy work meditation a few years ago, and then I was reading sutras for some time, and now I'm in my Course in Miracles period. But I will say, between these habits, I kind of struggled actually, because it's kind of like you fall into the void when maybe one habit is, you're kind of done with one habit,
Mhm.
but you haven't found the next one, and then everything unraveled in that space. It makes me think about fermentation in alchemy. I love how when we are talking, we're always like galaxy brain. But but yeah, it's like that space of like the fermentation is very ungrounding, right?
Mhm.
And I've come to realize for myself I do need that, but it doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
Doesn't always feel good, but it kind of sounds to me like with you and magnetic habits bingo, you found a way to make it not rigid and yet still you and still consistent. still maintaining a level of consistency. Would you say that's accurate?
Well, it's at the end of the day, it's a like meta habit.
Mm,
Because like what you can do, which is,
yeah.
I've gone through many different iterations of it, where at the beginning, the whole thing was like, it just needs to be too simple for me to begin. And
Mm,
I teach it as a program called Magnetic Habits Bingo 101. It's a 21-day challenge where we do like a kickoff workshop. There's a 16-day email course. There's a workbook. We have two group coaching calls. The first one is like how to like upgrade and swap out habits to actually edit them as you're moving through it. And the second one is on aura farming. So how you can like use your
mm,
bingo. You can play bingo as if you're like someone who inspires you or as like a aspirational soulmate. So like Anne Hathaway or like how would, I don't know, Taylor Swift play this today? Or like, you know, someone who like you like, well, that's someone who I want to be. If we can't fully connect to myself, how do I become them? They're an archetype of a person that like reminds me of my favorite version of myself that I haven't quite unlocked yet.
yeah.
But I've it's been this place where like you could, as you're talking about having these different like spiritual practices you go through where like you just keep showing up for bingo and either you say like do a spiritual reading every day and then every day you get to decide what that spiritual reading is. It creates that flexibility. Or you could literally put onto the bingo card, read A Course of Miracles, and you get to decide how much you read. It could be a chapter, it could be a line. I always
Right.
say do less than you think you can because
Mm,
you can always do more, but set yourself up for success on the days where you're literally on death's door and is like, I do not know what I can do. And you're like, all you got to do is just like the bare minimum because you need to build baseline and showing up for yourself when you're winning and also when you're like deep in failure because
mm,
like there's that sense of as a creative, as a dreamer, as an entrepreneur, like the ability to keep showing up is what creates like magnetism because it's like the repetition or the devotion to being in that like I'm going to keep going towards this even when it's
mm,
hard.
mhm,
That is that kind of like where you're shedding something off, but you're allowing it to be in this like repetitive routine. But then if it became uninteresting to you, I would just be like, great, swap it out for something else.
mhm,
Or you don't
mhm.
have to do it for like a week straight and you can still play bingo and you can
Yeah.
still see it there as something like, oh, when I come back to it, like I love to do digital collage. It's one of my favorite things. I feel like little spells that I create. It's like I got really into it. Actually, you and I met when I was getting really into it for the first time. And there are days I like I can go look at my bingo cards and be like, I haven't been really feeling digital collage lately.
Yeah.
It's not really speaking to me, or oh, like I don't really want to be reading right now. I'm not really in my reading era, but I love to read, so I'm going to leave it on there as a reminder to be like, whenever you're ready.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And I used to have like time binds on them, so I'd be like, read one chapter, read for 5 minutes, read because it was like a good reminder to my brain, like this is super simple. It'd be like,
Hmm.
write a poem in 30 seconds, and I'd be like tired, and I'm like, it's 30 seconds. It's 30 seconds. Like it's like write down three things you loved about today. I'm like, and it takes 5 seconds, Ashley. Like you can do this, you can
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
But I recently took them off after having played for a year. You go through these different iterations. I was like, well, what if I don't have any time binds on here? Other than eating 3 meals a day and drinking a bottle of water and doing my little shaking lymphatic drainage machine in the morning for 10 minutes and
Yeah.
getting 8 hours of sleep because I do like actually need 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
But some of them are like, do my skincare erotically, dress like my favorite self,
Mm.
write a romantic poem about my dreams.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think a huge piece that this has been training me recently into of like, what is enough?
Mm. Wow. Wow. Okay. I have a question for you. I want to expand on this idea, but I'm curious how, and this is kind of meta, how do you feel like this has shifted your relationship with consistency? And therefore, how would you link that into the idea or the concept or the embodied experience of knowing where enough is?
I am always in a profound state of transformation.
Mm,
I grow and shift very rapidly. And consistency used to feel like a restrictive linear line that was preventing my growth because what I needed was constantly changing. And so I never knew how to actually take care of myself because the constant experience of being a novel being within my life and being a human who is showing up in an external world where I am so driven to make change. Like, I am not someone who will see atrocity and suffering, whether it's on the microcosmic, tiny level or on the macrocosmic, collective level, and say, I'm okay with that. And I think consistency used to feel like this, like, dull, gray, monotonous, gross, like meaningless, like vomit worthy, uninteresting, purposeless
Mm.
thing of like, what's the purpose of this? How am I discovering and expanding and falling more in love with myself through consistency? The two didn't connect. It felt like rigid rules that were being imposed upon me. And because I have created this framework where it's literally built for expansion and transformation and magnetism and like opening and dream chasing, because there's so much flexibility, but there's also literally such simple consistency that I felt like I've like merged into this devotional, repetitive practice of being me is the beginning of everything and remembering my truth and who I want to be, holding capacity for fear and shame and grotesqueness and the weird, strange confession that continues to feel strange. And I'm like, I struggle to feed myself.
Mm.
This is something that I was taught at 3 years old, and I cannot, I cannot, like, this is still something I struggle to remember to do. Like
Yeah.
brushing my teeth, like I'm sure someone's like, you struggle to remember to brush your teeth. And I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know, like, that feels really weird and like kind of not shameful, but like, I feel like I should be able to do that, or should it be as hard as it is? But consistency has now become this like devotional practice of completely accepting myself and caring for myself on my own terms. And oh my God, like I'm having right now the craziest week of my life,
Mm.
knowing that like literally coming up onto 365 days, having some incredible projects like cooking in the wings, chasing new creative project dreams that go beyond my business that I never thought. I thought that was someone else who wrote a book, someone else who makes music, someone else, like I'm not an artist. This has given me a like in the simple consistency of just showing up being like, who am I today? Who am I today? How do I remember more of myself? How do I remember more of myself that I have gathered these pieces that I didn't even realize were ready to be expressed or felt safe enough to be expressed? And then I feel like I can also be more integrated in who I am and be deeply mystical and also be deeply spiritual and also be a scientist and deeply invested in neuroscience and owning the fact that like I'm really fucking smart. And also like just a baby. You know what I mean? Like I'm like I just a baby. I don't know. But also I'm like, yes, do you want to talk quantum physics and how I think psychic abilities work on a quantum level? Because I have thought this through. Like I did go through my spiritual awakening while I was like knee deep in getting my degree in behavioral neuroscience. Like I did
Mm.
graduate from college magna cum laude. I did do the most insane like senior thesis project, and all of my professors were like, only you would think this up. Like this is a 3 year long like experiment, like EEG experiment that you decided to do in 4 months. Like that's kind of insane. But I was like, but this is interesting.
Mm. Mhm.
And now it feels like, oh, I can be both of these things. And then I was like, how do I just like make a weird reel that just kind of like, I don't know, talks about all of my different identities all at once?
Yeah.
How do I believe that like my soulmate's just gonna like pop out of nowhere to keep meditating on this?
Yeah. Yeah. This is so exciting, Ashley, because what I'm hearing is that the process of meeting yourself consistently through these habits, it's helping you expand your possibilities because I do feel like there's so many parts of self for all of us, right? And different parts come out at different times. They have slightly different functions, or like they kind of take primacy over the other. That's just life, right? And again, going back to this idea of the ecosystem, like different ecosystems at different times ask us to bring out different sides. But the habits, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, is helping you be in touch with more of these parts of self that then helps you kind of spiral into expansion.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I've been thinking about how the the nature of life itself is spiralic and is voidy, right? Like life is always a spiral and a void. And there's something about the human brain. I don't know if this is conditioning or if this is a hardware limitation, but we don't see that, right? We don't see the spirality, we don't see the cyclicality, we don't see the, yeah, like we get scared of the void instead of seeing the void as this immense, unlimited potential. So in a
Can I tell
way,
you
like we need something, right, to help us get there. Please tell me, what were you gonna say?
two things? First, did you know that Greeks believed there are three different types of time?
I know Chronos and Kairos, right?
hmm So Chronos being linear, analog time, 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week,
Hmm.
365 days a year. It's
Right.
repetitive, like linear time. Kairos, as you know, is cyclical time, spiraling time, divine time, the idea that there's like just a right time for something. It's seasonal time too, of like you plant things in the spring and you harvest them in the fall. Like there's a
Hmm.
right moment. I often think of Chironic time or Kairos time as like this like is the spiraling, is the like repetitive, like things always come back around. It is this feeling of deja vu where like things just like you're like, what? Like time isn't feeling linear right now.
Yeah.
And then ion, which is the third, is the idea of time as a whole.
Hmm.
So you can think of this as like the whole of your lifetime, like the era of your life. You can think of this as literal microscopic eras of like, this is the certain era. There's like a certain quality to this moment, but it's the idea of existing within time.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
we are in time. Like time is the thing that we are like just floating within. And I think of bingo as someone who like personally works much more on chironic or kairos time where I'm like waiting for the right time and I don't know when you're going to tell you it's just going to happen. Like that is I think part of being a mystic and a psychic is you're literally like void walking and just like
Right.
there's gonna be a moment, even with astrology, right? There's like a right moment to be doing like we think about the lunar cycles or like where the stars are moving or how like we think about like right the emotional wave of like my being an emotional authority. Like there's a right moment to like make a decision. You got to like let it kind of cook. It's not like this like repetitiveness. But our nervous system as a human needs the repetition of like we crave consistency. And I sometimes feel like this is the one of the greatest struggles of being human is like you have
Hmm.
a soul that wants constant like expansion and nothingness. And then you have a human body that's like, I need to be consistently cared for. And all I want is predictability and
Hmm.
control.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
oftentimes the reason why we don't see the patterns repeating is because our amygdalas or our fear state has clocked in into that like primal monkey brain
Mm.
of fear seeking. And fear is always going to, like, if you're looking out of the void, all fear is going to tell you is all the things that are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And again, there's nothing wrong with being afraid. It's actually the fear of fear that's the killer. The same with like, there's nothing wrong with feeling shame. Like, that's a very normal human thing to be feeling. Like, it's healthy to feel shame. It's healthy to feel fear. Like, there are things we should be afraid of. Like, fire is going to burn you. You should be inherently afraid of fire. Like, guns could kill you. There is a healthy relationship there.
Yeah.
But it's when we are afraid of ourselves or afraid of experiencing fear or seeing fear and shame as information
Yeah. Yeah.
that we end up being like always like almost digging ourselves instead of spiraling upwards, we end up spiraling into this loop or
Yeah.
what I like to call yeah, like looping. You're
Yeah.
just stuck in this cycle versus spiraling towards something else because there is an inherent fear of the unknown and uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
Because all I can see is like all of my past trauma
Yeah.
and all the
Yeah.
ways that it could go wrong, or I could literally die physically or be abandoned relationally and
Yeah.
socially.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because you were talking about the idea of like being in spirals and why are we humans like not shifting patterns? And I think that it's because we don't have evidence we can, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like we're
To
not
me,
dreaming.
exactly. To me, this is like the difference between being with your experience and being dragged by your experience. You know? Because, like, for example, what you were saying about fear, what I see is very few people I've met in this lifetime have a healthy relationship with fear. Because in a way, it's like you have to hold the both end of like, oh, I get to feel afraid and I get to not dismiss my own feeling of being afraid. But I also get to hold this perspective that on some level of consciousness, fear is an illusion. You
That's one
know?
of the hardest truths to sit with.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it's the both and of like my human fear in my body is very real. And also like there is only when we show up in devotional reverence to our most divine spiritual being, the experience of just accepting where we are and continuing to go forwards, knowing that like we are exactly where we're meant to be.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And it's the connection of those. And I think if I look at bingo, it's like to me, this is how I feel my fear and do it anyways.
Mm.
Because I literally am showing up to take care of my body and my nervous system that's getting activated and going into a sympathetic state of I am afraid. There is a
Right.
literal fear threat of
Right.
all of the things. And then I say, okay, so then we just move. Like these are
Yeah.
the things. And what I also love about bingo so much is that it's designed to meet you for
Mm.
your favorite self.
Hmm.
Like people always ask me like what's on my bingo card and I'm like I will tell you but like I have curated this over and over and over and over again for 365 days now to be for my favorite version of me, like what I know works for me.
Mm.
But my bingo card is not going to work for you, Jonathan,
Hmm.
or for Taylor
Yeah.
Swift, or for my little sister. Like it's the act like you have to like craft your own practice. And I've
Yes.
taught it now the program 5 times, and every time, oh my God, what the participants like and my little bingo players, not little, but my sweet bingo players, my humans, end up creating for themselves. Like what they build to support themselves through the devotional practice, being like, what do I need?
Mm.
I always say like break it. I want you to break my system. My system is not going to be your system.
Hmm.
I inherently believe in the nature of bingo
Hmm.
because of the inherent flexibility and void, unknown and uncertainty of it. Like there's like variability and also the profound consistency, but how it's going to work, you have to personalize it to make it your own, to
Mm.
actually buy into it. And it
Right.
has to be tied, which I think I always come back to of like people are like, well, I didn't really stick with it. I'm like, bingo wasn't tied to a scrumptious enough dream then for you.
Mm.
The dream wasn't
Whoa.
sacred enough. Like what you're the act of showing up for this doesn't feel important enough to you.
Mm. Hmm. Can you speak more about that?
Your dreams coming true is the most profound, seductive, intoxicating dopamine that you can ever experience. Consistency fucking sucks. Like it is not fun to show up and practice day. I hate being bad at things. It's not fun to do that. I Nothing on my bingo card is related directly to me chasing my dreams.
Mm, mhm,
Because indirect action towards a very high valence emotional goal actually gets you into a state to take the next action.
mm,
Where I've now gotten myself to a place where I can pitch myself to a dream opportunity. So then I can take that action. I'm not putting on here pitch dream opportunity. I will not play bingo. If bingo had like write a sales email, I tried to do it for my business. I was like, no, this doesn't work. Like I can't. That's not the structure. Like this is
mm,
me for my
mhm.
human essence, not tethered to anything else. But then I
Yeah.
show up and do my skincare and feel good and put on a cute little outfit. So then can go record a video and I can feel confident.
Yes. Yes.
And when people don't stick with routines, either the routine and habits they're doing don't feel intentional enough.
Mm,
Intention is what turns a habit magnetic
mhm.
because it's the soul coming to life, it's the desire, it's the like potency behind it, or the dream that they're chasing isn't actually theirs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And something I've been thinking about that I think you're going to really enjoy, and maybe I've already told you about it because it's been percolating and brewing in the cauldron of my psyche lately, is that dreams are embodied. So dreams are potential that is inviting you to sink even more deeply into connection with yourself, to birth it literally physically through the body into your life. They will, if it's a dream, you will feel more embodied. It will feel probably scarier because it will feel more real and messy and raw and grotesque and gross and imperfect. Fantasies are escapist. They're dissociative.
Mm,
They feel often safer because it's like that's not in this reality.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to me, dreams are going to ask you to actually move towards what you actually desire.
Mhm, mhm.
And so people, who've done the program, like, well, I didn't really stick with it. I'm like, the dream wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
The dream wasn't sacred enough. It didn't feel catalytic enough to initiate you into everything that you want that you don't currently have, that feels so sacred, but also so spicy in your body because you're like, I want that, but I'm really, really like that asks me to face the fear that I don't really know if I'm ready to face. Am I
Mm,
worthy?
mhm,
Am I good enough?
mhm.
Can I actually have that?
Yeah. Yeah. This is such a great point, Ashley, because it's like sometimes too, what I've seen is it takes it takes time and it takes kind of this trial and error process it takes iterations. I think that's the word I was looking for. It takes iterations to get to the version of you that can feel the resonance with that dream, you know? And I wonder what you think about this because I feel like that is often what distinguishes dreams and fantasies. Like to me, they're actually kind of similar on an astral level, but fantasies are like whatever you're not actually willing to put your ass into.
Your
You know,
whole ass and
your
titty.
whole
It's
ass
your
into.
whole booty. It's your whole booty and titty. Man, you've got to
Yep.
put the whole body into it.
Yeah, yeah. Like fantasy is just like this nice place that you go to decompress or like disconnect for a while, but you can't turn that into a dream. Anybody can turn the fantasy into a dream, right? It's more to me, it's not like an inherent thing, the difference between dreams and fantasies. It's actually your orientation to it. Like your relationship to it is what makes it so,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
There are
Yes. Yes.
fantasies I
Yes.
have, like I always fantasize about, for example, living in a remote island, no internet, nobody can reach me. But it's a fantasy actually, because when I think about all the things that I'm like releasing or relinquishing in order to get to that dream, current version of myself isn't actually willing to do all of that, you know?
Let's I do, and it's interesting because I would say you actually are doing it. It just isn't clocking to your psyche. Like you do already have your own remote island. And if there's something missing about that experience that you're fantasizing about, that's
Hmm.
an invitation to be like, oh, do I need some nice wave music going on? Do I need to like maybe crank out the heat? Do we need to like get some new incense? Like, do I want
Mm.
new foods to be eating? Like, what is it? Because you have your own sacred space in your
Hmm.
home that you literally create as your remote island. So what
Yeah.
about this specific experience? And I think for me, the often hard thing has been is like I have so many dreams, and I'm like I don't know how all these dreams fit together.
Mm.
But that's not really our prerogative to figure that out. It's our prerogative to show up as the version of ourselves who's willing to become a literal glitch in the matrix, a
Yeah.
paradox of being everything that you're not supposed to be all at once. How am I going to live in a city and get access to like going to musicals whenever I want and being around so much culture and vibrancy and also live in the countryside with like goats and chickens and a horse and like get to have my own farm and like write books, but also be a psychic and also be really profoundly visible and seen, but also be the most hermity person ever. Like these inherently feel contradictory. But to
Mm.
me, bingo is the way that I show up to be my favorite version of myself to discover how I actually make all of it work.
Mm. Hmm.
100% at some point you're going to have a home on an island, or you'll be an investor in a retreat center you can go into, or you'll like actually like have a sacred island, or maybe you'll like invent a virtual meditative space or like a program you call Sacred Island where people can go in. Like there are so many infinite possibility of ways to figure out how to weave everything you desire together.
Mm.
You just have to become the version of you that has the capacity, the nervous system who can handle it.
Yeah. 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 So exciting.
And then it comes true, and you go, oh my God, fuck, what's going on? And you're like, exactly as I planned. I did mastermind this. But then you're also like, and then you just, and this I think comes back to like bingo operates on Chronos time.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
It's just the same. Have you ever seen the movie? It's a Christmas movie. It's called Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Mm.
This one, and there's like the big scary like I don't know creature who's like the cold. I don't know what his name is. There's the Burgermeister Meisterburger who I love. I love saying that. That's like one of my favorite phrases to say. It's not him, but it's the other. I can't think of his name right now. But he sings a song at one point that goes, "You just put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking off the floor. You just put one foot in front of the other. And soon you'll be walking out the door." And bingo to me literally feels like one foot, one foot, one foot, one foot, one foot, one like it's just it's momentum.
Yeah.
And consistency builds momentum.
Yeah. Yeah.
A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
That's right. That's right.
If you turn the annoying things that you don't want to do into a spell casting game that manifests everything you desire into your life, you know that annoying thing you don't want to do becomes really exciting to do. It becomes really interesting to brush your teeth every day
That's
because
right.
you're like, oh, if a spoonful of sugar, to quote, oh my gosh, let me find the song right
Mary
now.
Poppins.
Thank you. Yes, who that's a archetype that I aura farm from all the time. I will pull like what is in my literal infinite bag of trinkets. What is it today? It's like when there's a task that must be done, you have to add an element of fun.
Hmm.
And you find the fun, then snap.
Yeah.
The job's a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting, and there's not actual neuroscience research behind this, but I do feel that there's a validity to truth to this statement. I've gone on a little like rabbit hole that the opposite of trauma is play.
Yes. Yes. I believe that wholeheartedly because I feel like trauma, the definition of trauma for me is like stuck energies, right? And the definition of play is literally unstucking yourself, unsticking yourself.
It's getting sticky and unsticking.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I love what you're saying about making the hard stuff fun because I do think that we confuse the two. Like we think that just because things are hard, they can't be fun also. But that is so not true.
Humans love hard things. Not
Yeah.
to get like literally specific about things, but erections are literally hard things. Like pleasure is literally hardness. It is an
Yeah.
activation.
Yeah.
When you think about bringing it back into the spiritual context, what makes something easy is when it's
Hmm.
hard for the right reason, when it feels
Hmm.
purposeful.
Yes.
Like we don't like easy things. You can object to me all you want, but it doesn't actually engage our brains. We will invent problems. We have.
Yeah.
Humans constantly are. Why are we? Why are the billionaires building fallout shelters for themselves while initiating the war that would require them to have the fallout shelter?
Mm.
What video game are they trying to play in the world? Like, I don't want to die, but why are they playing? Like, literally, why are you're building the shelter to survive the nuclear war that you are literally making happen?
Yeah.
Maybe we have a different problem.
Yeah.
Maybe we do this. This is not the kind of hard experience that I want to have. I want to have a good time. I literally want to fuck around and find out and go through the erotic experience of transforming myself and seeing how many dreams I can come true. That weird fantasy that's being played out, I don't really that's not really fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like everything we do is hard.
Hmm.
Hardness literally is material reality.
Yeah.
It's it's something you're physically you cannot move through. Being human is a hard experience. I am, and I said this to so many clients, I'm like, I am super on the ride of like, I want to create more harmony in the world, but I am working for something that I might never see come to pass.
Hmm.
What a
Yeah.
hard thing to do to be working towards something that you might never find resolution within.
Yeah. Yeah. And all great things are like that. I was just sitting at a concert where they were playing this amazing Mozart string quintets. And Mozart died. Like, we don't even know where the body is because he was so poor at the end of his life that they couldn't, his wife couldn't afford a proper burial for him. So what we now have as Mozart's grave doesn't actually have his remains in it. It's not where he was buried because we don't know where he was buried. Mozart was like that poor at the end of
Well,
his
it's like
life.
Van Gogh too, right?
Yeah.
Like it's deeply sad and depressing.
But that's the thing though. I do feel like they're very different because Mozart was like laughing at himself the entire time. Whereas Van Gogh is like one of my favorite examples of like, but that's the thing, Ashley. If you look at Van Gogh's painting, not his words, because his words are very sad, right? If you read his letters, very sad. But if you look at his painting, when he was painting, that person was having a really fun time, you know? I don't know what he was on, but he was on something and he was loving it all the way to the end. But Mozart, I think, is so fascinating because he's so aware of how everything is such a joke. Like life is a joke.
It
Life is
ain't
a
that
joke.
deep. It is
It's
that deep.
not
It's
that
really not
deep.
that deep.
Nope, nope. It's like life is a joke that happens between birth and death. That's really all it is, right? And to your point about building something that outlasts you, um, yeah, it also makes me think about like Bach is the same way. Johann Sebastian Bach, like nobody is more played than Bach, right? In the last 400, 500 years. And yet, in his own lifetime, he was struggling. Like he was not the most popular composer. People were making fun of him. People were like, "This is too old school. What is this?" He was not the Taylor Swift of his day. Also, he had like enormous number of children. Like he could
Really?
not stop giving birth. He had a wife. That wife died after giving birth to so many children. Had another wife. Had more children. could not stop procreating.
He couldn't stop getting hard. He could not stop getting
He could
hard.
not stop getting hard. And it's true with his music too, Ashley, because apparently people did this study of like trying to figure out, okay, if we were to have a person start at the age of, I don't know, 15-ish and like transcribe all of Bach's music, apparently you couldn't get it done even if you live up to like 80. Isn't that crazy? Like Bach is literally an alien. Like how did he transcribe not even transcribe, like download this music so fast. He was in a trance state all
He
the
was just
time.
fucking and in trance. He was literally
Yes.
having sex. He was like in the body, into astral, into body, into astral, into body, into
Yes.
astral. As within, so without. As the
Yes.
universe, so the soul. As
Yes.
above, so below.
Yes. Yes. I do think that this easy life fantasy is not one that a lot of people actually want. That's why the easy life can be so hard to manifest for a lot of people. Because I think deep down, we know that's not exactly what we wanted. I think there are some people who are meant to be, in their robe and like, gorgeous house, and they're always like making these super beautiful meals and they're just taking naps, in the Italian countryside. I think for some people that's their truth.
Those people are still having a hard time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the thing. It's an illusion. It's they're still have like, well, and I could go to this island and then you know what, Jonathan, you'd be hit by a hurricane and you'd have no
Yeah,
power. And then you'd be like,
yeah.
how am I getting food? Oh fuck. I'm alone here. I actually do like people. I don't know if I wanted this. I kind of miss TV and like it not being and then you're like, wait, this is kind of hard. I have to like garden every day and like
Yeah,
the earth doesn't always like fertilize quite correctly. So now
yeah,
like the food's not coming up or like, oh no, this little creature like snuck in and ate all of my food and now I have no food. Fuck, what's happened? Right? Like it's at what point in history have humans had an easy time?
yeah, yeah. Right.
It's an illusion. But what makes ease is when it feels creatively purposeful. Like I really truly
Yes.
believe that like bingo, becoming your favorite self is a literal creative project around your identity.
Yeah.
It is,
Mm.
it is experiencing, it is finding your way. Like I believe that Van Gogh was his favorite self. He was depressed as fuck, but he was making beautiful art. And you know what? He chose that for himself.
Yeah. Yeah. In our last conversation, you had said something that really stuck with me, something about like rotting on a couch. And you're saying, okay, sometimes you wake up one day and just want to rot on your couch. And like, what would your favorite self do while rotting on the couch?
Literally.
That really stuck with me because I do feel like there's such genius in that question. Because I do wake up and sometimes I find myself like I'm just like a slug.
Yeah.
For me it's like slug Jonathan,
And
hating
you're like
everything and
inching, you're
everyone.
all slimy, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, yeah. And there is a way that I can really accept where I am and be where I really was, be where I really am in that time, and then have like a really fabulous experience being a slug. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It sounds nice to me, honestly. Like sometimes you just, and you've been talking a lot about this on your social media, but like making ugly things, like being
Yeah.
uglier. Like
Ah,
humans like ugliness. Like we do like it. We
we
like
do
gross,
like it.
slimy, weird things that are
We
like,
do
ah, it
like
feels
it.
so gross. And if we don't accept that within ourselves,
Yeah.
we will sabotage ourselves.
Yes, this is my own personal path to getting closer and closer to the David Lynch archetype, Ashley, because I love David Lynch. And part of what I love about David Lynch is how so ungovernable he is. And in his story too, like he created Dune, which was a huge
Hmm.
commercial and artistic failure for him. He considered that a failure because he relinquished his the final cut to the producers. And he saw it and he was like, this is a massive failure. Like this is so bad. This is nothing like what I envisioned it to be. And from that point on, he decided that he was never going to be involved in any project that doesn't give him the final cut, you know? And then when we see stuff that has his final cut, it's that experience of lostness. You know, to me, David Lynch is so martial because he's telling a story, but he never knows where he's going, Ashley. And it's like there's something about that that is so like edgy and erotic because you are like, shit, this guy doesn't know where we're going. Like, what
But
happened to Laura Palmer? You know? Like we never really knew. And it was never really resolved because he didn't know himself. And like here is a person who started this entire culture, this entire project around a question, you know?
and it
Who
makes
is
me,
Laura Palmer and what happened to her?
I'm going to be honest, I've never seen it and now I need to go watch it. Like, I don't even know who Laura Palmer is. And I'm feeling really left out right now in this moment where I'm like, I don't know. I really want to be like, yes, who is Laura Palmer? But I can't. And
Yeah,
now I'm like,
Twin
I need to know who
Peaks.
Laura Palmer.
Twin Peaks. Twin
Oh.
Peaks. Yep. Yep. And it's so good. It's so good. It takes a hot moment to get into it because David Lynch is a master of like slow burn, slow burn.
Mm.
And like nobody knows what is even going on. And you know, the first two episodes, you're gonna be a little bit annoyed, and it's like, why is the pace of this so slow? And then you get really into it, and it's like this whole trance, you know? And you look back and it's like, wow, 3 months of my life.
You've possessed me right now with this idea of like how do we have the final cut on our own lives and why do we
Right.
outsource the final cut to other people? And I think about
Right.
Jacob Tierney and the
Mm,
incredible work that he did
mm,
with Heated Rivalry because
mhm.
he refused to give up creative agency and he
Yes.
refused to give up the final cut in Hollywood. He took it to a small, unknown, not unknown, but like very small production company in
Yeah.
Canada and said, I
Yeah.
want complete creative agency over this.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about how many of us, literally myself right now, as I'm like trying to figure out how to like afford my life in New York and completely transform my business because now I actually want to live my life now that I'm here. There's so much more that I want to do and I need to completely like blob and reorganize everything and it feels overwhelming and crunchy and I don't know how the fuck to do it, but I'm like in it and I've been asking for advice and I always ask for advice on what do I do? Someone tell me. I don't know. If I knew, I would have figured this out. That I keep giving up the final cut.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many people are doing that now with AI.
Oh my gosh. This is another entire conversation. This is another entire conversation. I will just say yes. And I do think that people are confusing innovation with synthesis and regurgitation. And like I think with generative AI, what is happening is like bad synthesis and regurgitation. It's not innovation. Very few people are actually using AI for innovation. And the thing about innovation is chop wood, carry water. Chop fucking wood, carry fucking water. Because you don't get to innovation unless you have consistency. Back
It's
to
chop wood, carry water, brush your teeth, eat a meal, make your bed,
yes,
put your clothes away, chop wood, carry
exactly.
water, stomp on the grapes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
chop the wood,
yeah. You can't get there without
touch the
the dirty
keys,
work. Yeah,
scratch the pencil
yeah,
over and over and over, and you will find something with the frustration and the aggravation of repetition. When the aggravation and repetition feels purposeful, aka bringing your soul to life, not knowing where you're going to end up,
yeah,
having a dream, but becoming non attached to the dream becoming true because you go, all I got to do is show up. The dream might change. I might change. I'm okay with, I feel so in the devotion of chopping wood and carrying water that I
yes,
trust that I will build a fire and I can put the fire out. I
yes,
can build myself a bath
yes,
and heat the water for me to cook with it. I can take care of myself. So I can
yes.
handle anything. So
Mm,
actually, the dream can be even more mesmerizing and even more incredible and even more infused with more wishes than I ever thought that I got to claim for myself in this lifetime because I became someone who could handle more.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So give us the details of.
Magnetic Habits Bingo
Mhm,
101 begins again. I teach it every couple of months. The next challenge begins on April 27th.
mm,
It is going to be again a 3-week challenge.
mm,
The kickoff workshop, you'll get to go in and meet your favorite version of yourself. Declare the dreams that are so sacred that it's worth it for you to do the hard, annoying, monotonous thing of figuring out habits and showing up to create the system. You will commit to playing for 21 days because it takes 21 days to build a habit. And the only habit you're building is playing bingo.
yeah.
Then there is the workbook. There is an accountability buddy group chat because humans need support systems to get stuff done. It helps. It's part of the relational ecosystem and being like, I'm with other people doing this too.
Mm,
There are 2 workshops or group coaching calls, how to upgrade and edit your bingo card so you can always morph it to fit you,
mhm,
and aura farming so that if you're like Jonathan, you can become David Lynch and you can step into your own David Lynch archetype on your own terms, and then you'll have done it. And some people literally grew, like one woman in the January challenge grew her YouTube following from like 10,000 to 400,000. It was some insane number because she just had the audacity then to show up. People have gotten new jobs. People have like started creative projects. People have used this as they were quitting a job, launched a business they didn't expect to launch. There's
amazing.
profound magic in the mundane and infusing the mundane with magic.
Mm,
So if you want to join, there's definitely going to be a link in the show notes. I teach it every couple of months. If you're listening to this in the future, you can still click on that link and join the waitlist for the next time the group challenge opens. I only do it live because it's meant to be taught live
mm,
with like, we're doing this now. This is not something you're downloading to maybe someday, one day do and put it in the file of templates that you always keep downloading to like do at some point. This is about showing up in the present moment.
yeah. Yeah.
And if you're interested, I would love to have you so, so very much because I would love to see you make your own dreams come true.
Thank you, Ashley. You are so inspiring. I love talking to you.
I love talking to you.